"Who the hell do you think you are?" The shout tore through the glass, walled boardroom like a gunshot, papers scattered, coffee splashed across the floor. Security guards rushed in as the CEO slammed his fist against the table. In the center of the chaos stood the intern, calm, silent, eyes locked on the screaming executives around her. Every manager was on their feet now, pointing fingers. She hacked the system. She's the reason the servers crashed. She's trying to destroy us. But she didn't flinch. Her gaze cut through their panic like a blade. Then she spoke low, measured, dangerous. "Destroy you," she said. "No, I'm exposing you." The room went dead silent. One of the guards reached for her arm, but she turned, slid a badge across the table, and said 4 words that froze everyone in place. "My name isn't Intern." 48 hours earlier, the story began 2 days ago, when she first stepped out of the elevator, heels clicking on marble, sunlight bouncing off glass, that badge on her chest reading only, "Intern." The executives barely looked up. To them, she was another coffee runner, another disposable nobody. But beneath her calm smile, a plan was already in motion. She wasn't there to learn. She was there to infiltrate. This wasn't just any company, it was Thornwell Dynamics, a billion-dollar tech empire built on lies, corruption, and hidden offshore accounts. The CEO, Leonard Thornwell, called himself the king of innovation, but behind that polished grin was a trail of ruined lives and vanished whistleblowers. They thought they'd buried every secret, but one person knew, one person remembered. Her father, the man who built Thornwell's first encryption system, had been silenced, fired, and left to rot after uncovering financial fraud. He died before clearing his name. Now, his daughter had returned not as herself, but under a false identity. Her mission, to finish what he started. She blended in easily, smiled when spoken to, nodded through their arrogance. Leonard's assistant barked orders like a drill sergeant. "Intern, refill this. Intern, don't touch that. Intern, copy the file." But while they laughed, she listened. While they mocked, she learned. Every password, every terminal, every careless secret whispered after hours. By the second day, she'd installed trackers on 3 managers' computers disguised as system updates. And then came the moment that changed everything. Maria, the CFO, was arguing with the legal advisor near the coffee machine. "You said those reports were deleted." Maria hissed. "They were. Unless someone's trying to dig." They stopped mid-sentence as the intern walked by. She smiled politely, placed a coffee mug on the counter, and whispered, "Cream or black?" They laughed nervously, but when she turned away, their faces drained of color. Because on the mug she'd placed printed faintly on the side was a phrase only the guilty would recognize, Project Ardent Confidential. Their secret was out. That night, the office was silent, lights dimmed, screens glowing faintly like fireflies in a glass cage. She sat alone at her desk, her bracelet glowing a subtle blue. Inside it, a hidden drive was silently downloading everything: encrypted emails, hidden accounts, bribery records, even the off-book payments to government officials. But suddenly, footsteps echoed down the hall. She minimized her screen, heart steady. Leonard himself walked in half, drunk from a late-night meeting. He stopped by her desk. "You're here late, intern." "Just finishing some files, sir." He smiled, the kind of smile that never reached his eyes. "Good, loyalty matters here. Keep your head down, and you might last longer than the last one." He turned and walked away. She waited for his footsteps to fade, then pressed one last key. Download complete. She exhaled. In the reflection of her monitor, her own face looked back, calm but fierce. Justice was coming. The next morning, chaos spread through Thornwell Dynamics like wildfire. Systems crashed, emails vanished, accounts froze. Panic rose in every department. In the boardroom, Leonard shouted at it. "What do you mean someone's accessed the main server? Who authorized it?" "Sir," the trace leads back to the intern. Every head turned. Security was called. They dragged her into the room, demanding answers. Leonard slammed a folder on the table. "What did you do? Who are you working for?" She looked him dead in the eyes. "I'm working for the truth." The room erupted in outrage. One manager lunged forward, shouting, "You think you can come in here and ruin everything?" "Ruin?" she said. "No. I'm revealing what you already destroyed." Then she pulled out her phone and projected something onto the wall: files, names, offshore accounts, bribe receipts, and emails signed by every executive in the room. They froze. Maria whispered, trembling, How did you get this?" "You gave it to me," she said simply. That's when Leonard snapped. He lunged at her furious, but the doors burst open before he could reach her. The entire floor fell silent. Uniformed officers stepped in, followed by a detective in a navy suit. "Leonard Thornwell," he said calmly, "we have a federal warrant for your arrest." Leonard laughed bitterly. "This is insane. I'm the victim here. She's the hacker." The detective raised a folder. "Actually, sir, this came from the Securities Bureau. Your company's been under investigation for 3 months." Gasps filled the room. The intern stepped aside quietly as officers moved in. Maria tried to bolt for the exit. 2 cops intercepted her. Stephen, the operations manager, shouted, "You can't do this," before being shoved against the wall. Papers fluttered through the air like confetti in a storm. Leonard pointed at her, face red with fury. "You set this up. You." She met his rage with an unshakable calm. "You set it up years ago. I just pressed play." Cameras from the arriving press flashed through the glass walls. Employees gathered outside the boardroom, whispering in shock as the untouchable CEO was led away in handcuffs. For the first time, the empire trembled, and she stood still, the calm at the center of the storm. Hours later, the building was half empty. News crews waited outside as officers carried out boxes of evidence. She sat alone in the conference room, the same place where she had been humiliated days earlier. Now, the silence was different, heavy, final. A soft voice broke through behind her. It was Detective Harris. "You know," he said, leaning against the doorframe, "you didn't have to go undercover. We could have handled this." She shook her head slowly. "You wouldn't have known where to look. My father tried once. He trusted the system. It buried him." The detective nodded, quiet. "You did what he couldn't." She smiled faintly, eyes glistening. "No. He taught me everything I needed to finish the job." He hesitated, then asked, "So what happens now?" She stood, gathering her bag, eyes fixed on the city skyline glowing beyond the glass. "Now," she said, "they learn what happens when you underestimate the wrong intern." As she walked toward the elevator, the building PA crackled with static, reporters outside calling her a mystery whistleblower, the shadow heiress, the intern who exposed the empire, but she didn't slow down. She had one more stop to make. Late evening, rain streaked across the city windows like falling glass. She stood at her father's old workshop, dusty, untouched, a single photo of him smiling by a server rack. She lit a small candle beside the frame. "Dad," she whispered, "it's done." Her phone buzzed, an email from the bureau. Subject, "Case closed." Body, "Your father's name is cleared. Thank you for your service." She smiled through tears, closing her eyes as thunder rolled outside. Then headlights flashed through the window. A black car pulled up. Detective Harris stepped out holding a sealed envelope. He handed it to her. "From the Department of Justice," he said. "They want you on their cybersecurity team. Full clearance." She looked at him, stunned. "You're serious?" He smiled. "You've already proven you're better than half of them." She laughed softly, tucking the envelope under her arm. "Tell them I'll think about it. But for now, I've got something else to do." "What's that?" She turned toward the storm, eyes fierce, unbreakable. "Start over, build something clean." The lightning flashed, a symbol of rebirth. She walked into the rain, her heels echoing against the pavement, blending into the glow of the city lights. As the screen faded to black, her voice returned, steady, powerful, unforgettable. "They thought I was nobody, but I was the storm coming for them, and I didn't just expose them. I ended them." Fade out.